once you get institutional investors and VCs involved, there is a math associated with it. Okay, most of the VC, contrary to the belief, 7 out of 10 companies actually fail. Right, so for VCs to make money in this whole business, every one of the company, any one of the investments has to be a really big success. And for that big success and for the big risks that they're taking in all of the 10 companies, there is going to be a chunk of the company that is going to be taken away. And the path and the speed at which the company is going to be put through is going to be on a different scale than you might have envisaged right from the beginning. So that's number one. Number two is, if you get VC money, most VCs, I think, would look for these markets that you're addressing to be really huge, and that you're going to create big teams. It really doesn't matter. It's an all or nothing game. There's nothing in between. There's no success when you get a company which is doing $30 million and you have a nice cash flow. It does nothing to an exit for a VC, right? So if that's the business that you're in, you don't need VC money. So you should think very, very carefully about whether you need VC money. If you're going to get VC money, you're going to be pushed on a track, on a high-speed train, and you're going to say, I want to be a $500 million, $1 billion company as soon as possible. And most likely, what's going to happen is you're going to stumble and fall and probably fail. Mr. VCs can absorb that, but you as a company may not want that kind of a exit, right? So given that, I think the big thought that entrepreneurs should pay attention to right in the beginning is, am I really ripe for VC investment, number one? Am I in the business of getting VC money? What kind of a company am I creating? And I think that's number one. Number two is, what kind of VCs you approach. Every VC is different, just like categorization of angel VCs and regular VCs, early stage VCs, mid stage VCs, late stage VCs, private equity and all that. Every VC, including angel investors, are very different. Everyone is different. So know your audience. I think you should pay a little attention to the information that's available out there. Go and look at the VC kinds of investments that that particular VC is doing. Look at the backgrounds of the people who are there and find out if they'd be amenable to making investments in that particular area. Sometimes they may already have an investment in that area, so you don't want to approach that person because there will be conflicts of interest, and they may say, I've already got investment in this area, so I'm not interested in that. So look at all of that stuff before you approach VCs. And I would also say that you want to keep your best pitch for your last VC. Learn during the process. Go with people that you know are not going to be investing in you, and make about 10 pitches to them, learn from them, and your 11th pitch should be to the one that you think that you want to get money from, and you think that you have a good shot of getting money from. So.
The other thing is, in my view, on the specific question of when should we raise funds, there are very few extraordinary individuals who basically come up with an idea and they can carry it through till the end. Any angel investor or a venture capitalist or a mid-range, whoever would look at de-risking themselves to be dependent on one single individual. So the right time to make a pitch to the VC or to the investors on a serious note would also be when you have the right team in place. So for example, there is a guy who's going to lead, he's a leader. The VC should be able to clearly see the traits of a CEO. There has to be a specific CTO if it's a technology IP-driven company with that kind of background. And there has to be somebody who can look after the market, etc. So VCs always perceive that if it is only individual, life is uncertain, it's a big risk. But if there are teams and there are clear roles defined in a startup, it makes a lot of sense for them to invest because they depend on 2-3 guys who are bright. One point that I want to
Manjari, I want to come to you because you have done the tough task of raising institutional VC money from top US India VC in life sciences area. So for people who are not necessarily looking at the traditional flavor of the day technology or internet or e-commerce is not the flavor of the day, but not the flavor of the day for difference. what advice do you have for raising money in India for a non-IT? Number one. Number two, what were the top 2 challenges that you had and how did you overcome those challenges? And 3 is, how did you make the pitch? What do you think that convinced Artiman to really invest? So okay, yeah, okay, right. So I want to know how do you handle for non-this? Because there's always this. It's a big challenge because it's not. Again, it's nothing. This has nothing to do with VCs not understanding. It is just when they raise the funds, they have raised the funds from their investors, which are the limited partners, with a thesis or a theme to invest. And that thesis and theme happens to be in technology-enabled, technology-led. So even if they love it, they may not be able to invest in life sciences. So that is that, and a lot of it is like that. Sorry, over to you.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, many people advise me that, so for a life sciences company, first of all, you really need funds because we need to set up labs to actually make the product. Ready. So we need to do experiments and so on. It's a product-driven company. So many people told me and that, oh, you should just raise from friends and family and move on and so on. But then when I talk to many people, then I realized what she's saying, that it can hamper your relationships. So I decided, no, I will not do that. I would just wait to pitch it to the investors. And then as a researcher, when you are doing this kind of stuff, I had no background in this. So I didn't know where to start. So you just go ahead and start writing to every VC. That you first, of course, screen whether they fund you at seed stage. But in India, the biggest challenge I face is the funnel of VCs is quite small compared to, say, in the US or in Europe. And in that, the funnel is even smaller when it comes to life sciences. And in that also, it is even narrower when it is product-driven company. And we are not doing any services. We are not making any revenues. So I had really maybe 4 VCs who actually are potential VCs. So one of the lucky things for me was actually TiE. I met Artiman folks in TiE because I was giving I was getting mentored in a session. So the one thing if I remember correctly, Artiman was interested in, and one fortunate thing for me was I work in an oncology the diagnostics area, and cancer has a huge market. So nobody ever, I don't think Artiman ever questioned that there is no market and so on. Because everybody knows there are thousands of people who come down with cancer. So that is the most important aspect for them. And no matter what people say about VCs, including myself, who just said few minutes ago that they are vulture capitalists and so on. I think it is it's highly exaggerated because after all they are also raising funds from their limited partners. It's not. It's
okay. The money is in or money is not in yet. Yeah. No, has a wire transfer happened, or I need to check with Amit, or?
I think she's saying all the right things right now.
Okay. Okay, good. This is exactly why I told them, don't get 2 people involved with Artiman, 1 entrepreneur on the stage at the same time. If you get also, I said, ask them to sponsor this at least. And TiE, the new president of TiE, should take note.
Hear me out.
Get the sponsorship. Yeah, please.
Hear me out. So now comes the correct thing. So no, I'm just joking. So the issue I face is, as any entrepreneur would face, that VCs are really pressed for time. And so you really, once they were interested and they knew that this is the area that they would support, it still takes time, and you really have to be after them. It's not like they're not trying to meet you, or that if they're not interested, they would avoid. But if you press for them, if you just keep asking them, okay, I have the next set of slides ready. These were your questions last time, and I have answered them. I've done my part. So can we meet? And they would, if you keep asking, they would say yes, come over. So it took 6 months, but in the end it happened. So that is the time, I guess. It depends on every VC and the areas their expertise, because even this is the second life science investment in India. So even they were new to this area. They have done mostly all the investments in non-life sciences areas. So you have to give all those points. You have to give. You have to really give them that time.
Educate them on that.
Yeah.
By the way, 6 months was on a fast track.
So these are the main points.
What are the two challenges that you
I face? Yeah, challenges definitely. So many of the many challenges, but 2 key would be, I would say, is as a life sciences, this thing, there are very few VCs in India for life sciences, and many of them are. They may be bigger life sciences funds in the US, but the India operations are not focused on life sciences. And so the Indian partners really don't get the idea. Or sometimes, even if there's one competing company in a similar area, they would say, oh, we are funding this company, and you and them are doing the same things. And so then I would tell them, no, it's not the same thing. I know that company. I, in fact, interviewed with them. And I know what they do, and it's not what I do. And that's why I did not join them, and I started my own. But it's very hard for them, without really having deep knowledge in that area, to fund something in the similar area. So once one VC funds oncology, anything, whether it's diagnostics or drug discovery, it's harder for them to really do that much legwork, get into the really nitty-gritty and come up with another funding. And also the time taken for the life sciences company. So this thing was, I felt for a life sciences entrepreneur, many VCs really don't come out because of just not having enough expertise in India. That was one thing, and life sciences VCs are really few. And there are only like 4, I can say. So if you don't get attention from any of those 4, you just have to go for government funding. There is really no option, unfortunately. And VCs based in the US who don't have any India operations, just almost impossible to do anything.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you. You've done angel investment. When you look at angel investments, how do you decide to do that investment? And I'm also assuming you also have an eye on the fact that it will be Series A fundable, because you're not going to carry it through throughout the age. So in terms of the investments that you have seen and done, what do you think is your advice to entrepreneurs as when to approach the angel, when to go for VC if they have a choice, and 2, should they really go for angel or bootstrap it with the 3 Fs and all that, and go for a VC round, and tips and suggestions for them so that they are able to get more angel. I mean, we of course have started having angels in even formal network in Bangalore, but it has been more Indian angel network out of Delhi and Mumbai angels out of Mumbai.
So the first point, I mean, I'll take it in different steps. The first point is when to go for the fund, which we discussed in a brief, but I'll try to make unique points. Sure. The first point is, of course, you have to understand your own business, which is it a B2B startup? Is it a B2C startup? If it is a B2B startup, then you know for a fact that you need, like Bharti said, the alpha set of customers, the couple of customers. I would, in fact, suggest that if it is a B2B startup, you first start the idea, go find friends and family who could actually influence somebody, a CIO or CTO in a company, and who would give you a chance to create an IPR even without funding or paying you a price, but taking the cost of the development. So the point I'm trying to make is, irrespective of doing anything, there are various ways, if you actually think out of the box, to get the product ready to a particular stage where people will start understanding the product rather than just being on the PowerPoint. According to me, although I have funded one, but I don't think that a laptop idea is something that many people would fund. Because it's a very, very high risk game, and people don't have appetite. Angel investors also don't have appetite for it, until unless there is something which is phenomenally unique and you believe in it. The second point is that Ganesh, you asked me, was what would I look in doing a fund? I would definitely look at 3 major aspects. One is the uniqueness of idea, of course, which everybody does, but uniqueness does not only mean that it is a completely different product. There might be some benchmark products which are available in the market, but the way you position it is unique, the way you package it is unique. So uniqueness of the idea. The team, definitely, no doubt about it. There has to be everybody in your team who has to play different roles, and you cannot depend on an individual, which is what I shared earlier also. And of course, being an angel and trying to take the biggest risk, the willingness or the appetite, even just for testing purpose, I would see how much is the entrepreneur willing to give away, and what is the kind of desperation he or she, or passion he or she has to basically go behind this startup. I feel it very, very discouraging in entrepreneurs that you are doing your first startup, you yourself only think that it's a brilliant idea. No VCs think it's a brilliant idea, but you don't want to give more than 10% away. Right? So the willingness and the passion has to also come out, because it's a learning curve for every entrepreneur. Usually nowadays at least, there are a lot of serial entrepreneurs who do startups after startups. So those are the 3 key things that I would look at as an angel.
Yeah, Samir, over to you. You have seen in Acer Ventures and now in Inventors and backed companies, I mean, along with seed fund like Red Bus and others, when that concept just did not exist here in India. So if you were to give this audience 3 common mistakes that you have seen that has prevented them from raising money, either from Acer Ventures or Inventors or from VC money per se, okay, right? And 1. And 2, what do you think they should really communicate to succeed in this? If you have to say 3 tips so that when these people go and raise the VC money, they're successful. 3 mistakes that they make and what they should do on the positive side. 3 things based on all your experiences of funding few and seeing lots of projects.
So let me just start with the mistake, since that was your first question. Sometimes, not sometimes, this happens more than sometimes. Entrepreneurs say, I'm working in this job, I have a great idea, fund me and I'll quit the job. So that is an absolute no-no as far as most VCs are concerned, certainly as far as Inventus is concerned. Sure, if you're coming to just bounce an idea off and so on, that's fine. But if you're saying, you fund me and I'll quit the job, that's a big no-no. I think the other thing we find, Apurva made this point, we look for teams. A lone ranger, it's very hard to fund, and many entrepreneurs come in either as lone rangers, or then when you tell them, we want to see a team, they come back cobbling up a team where they own 98% of the company and the rest of the guys own 2. So that's not a co-founder, and that also doesn't cut the ice. I can't think of many more mistakes of entrepreneurs, Ganesh.
Okay, so what would you suggest in a pitch? What would you like to see so that it becomes a compelling pitch that will get funded? So either from Inventors or from anybody else. Okay, right.
Yeah. So let me just dwell on those things. I think the team, as everybody said,
Bharti, I'm going to come to you with this next, so you can start thinking about it. Okay, right? Because I want them to really take away from people who actually are going to write the checkbooks, and you also, Ramesh. Yeah.
So I think all of us have said we back teams, and for us, the team is most important. And in the team, what do we look for? We certainly look for knowledge, background of the space in which that idea is going to be implemented. But more important, the passion, the dedication, the commitment, the willingness to burn the midnight oil, work long, hard hours to realize that dream. So these are the things that we are looking for when we are evaluating the entrepreneur. And, any team that demonstrates that passion, commitment, that is also demonstrated by quitting your job, so taking the risk, putting in some of your own money if you have it, that shows that you're backing or you're very passionate and committed to that idea. Not asking for your Google salary or your TiE salary when you get funded, but taking a massive haircut on salary even after you get funded. All these things, and trying to make your money on the equity. So these are clearly things we look for. The second thing I would say, that makes us sort of back the companies we've backed is, and I think this point also came up earlier, so very often in the first pitch, let me just give you my thinking of how we invest, and in that course I'll try and answer the questions. So I think my thinking is, this guy is pitching, how can I say no and send him off? So that's my mindset when I'm hearing the entrepreneur. And if at the end of that 1-hour meeting, I don't find any compelling reason to say no, I have the next meeting. And in that second meeting, if there's no compelling reason to say no, I have the third meeting. And typically the investment happens, you've had multiple meetings, the entrepreneur has grown on you, you found no reason to say no, so you say yes and you invest. In the course of all these meetings, you ask questions, you ask for data, you ask for information, you try and assess his understanding of the market. And the good entrepreneur is one who, if he didn't know some answers, studies them, takes the time, comes back, and in the next meeting presents some very solid facts, data, insights into things that you had asked last time. I think that creates a very good impression. These are some of the things, Ganesh, we look for.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the same theme?
Yeah.
So I can add, some of the mistakes that I can relate to is, one is you should understand VCs and angels are not there to fund a lifestyle. Right? A lot of entrepreneurs come and say, I've got 3 crores or 4 crores of business coming in, and now you take this little small equity in this company. I need, investment of about 10 crores, and I will become a 5 crore company. Okay, this is not about funding your lifestyle. It's about making the company really successful, right? So a lot of business plans which are around that thing you will find. That's why I said, going back to, is this really a VC funded model or not? Number one. Number two is when you make a pitch, and this may vary from VC to VC, if you don't get the problem statement right and get to what your solution is, it only takes 5 minutes or 6 minutes of that of the entire 30-40 slides that people may have. There are people who come in with some 80 slides, and when they send it on an email, it doesn't even download on my home DSL network. It takes like overnight to do that. Those are things that are not needed at all. If you have 2 slides which say, here's what the problem is, and here's how I'm going to solve it, and here's a big business in it, more than enough to get the attention of a VC. VC is something like 200 plans a year, and I think in most VCs we fund one of them in a year, and you've got to stand out in that one among 200, right? So just think about it. All you need to do is pitch for 5 minutes and be able to articulate within yourself that this is the business that you're going after. If you're constantly circling around the wagon but never going into the wagon, it's an almost instant no, because then you don't know the business yourself. So I would say those are the 2 things that.
Okay, Bharti.
Before I get into what mistakes the entrepreneurs make, even we VCs are entrepreneurs. We go and raise funds, and some of the same mistakes we make ourselves as well, because we also are in front of limited partners who see 200 potential early stage investors. They have to choose one out of that. I think what Ramesh said, one of the big problems I find is the problem definition. We sometimes say, is it a technology chasing a solution, or is a solution looking for a technology? You have to define what is the problem you're trying to solve. Many technology entrepreneurs will come and say, I have this greatest technology. So what? To me, it doesn't make sense. What customer or consumer benefit are you trying to solve? What is the problem that you're solving? What is the benefit you're giving? That, I think, is the first big mistake many entrepreneurs make. And they will always jump straight into technology. Here's what my technology does. The question is, why? For who? Who's facing this problem? The second mistake would be not doing enough diligence on the investors. There is loads of information on the net. All the VCs love to be in the press all the time. So you can read their interviews, you can read their profile on their website, research the companies they've invested in, research what they're talking, what are they saying. That will give you a good sense of which VC will invest in what kind of a company, what is the amount they're looking at. Yesterday I had one entrepreneur who came, which was in education. So I told him that I had seen very similar plans, 3 others where we had done a lot of diligence on the market. So his point was, you're a seed fund. I only need 20 lakhs to do a product development. So why are you doing this diligence? Why are you worried about the product? The market size. Why are you worried about the viability of the business model? It doesn't matter whether we're investing 15 lakhs or 15 crores, we will study the viability of the business model. And that's true across all VCs. So I think you need to research whether this seed fund is investing only 15 lakhs or 1.5 crores or 15 crores, and then figure out. I think the other is very often the entrepreneur says, I'm in a market, I'm creating this technology, and people are going to love it. And why don't you believe me? when the VC is giving you, or anybody is giving you feedback, they're coming with their experiences, which may not be the experience you have. So it's worthwhile, even though you may disagree with the investor or the potential investor, it's worthwhile to listen to their feedback. Think about it, why they're saying it. Maybe there is some merit. Maybe the investor is entirely wrong, but I think it's worth listening to the investors because it's a good feedback for the entrepreneur. We often find the entrepreneurs walk away saying, oh, they don't understand anything of our business. You don't know that because they may have seen 5 other plans of the similar type. Third is getting very hung up on valuation. I mean, if your objective is to create a large company, if your objective is to have fun while doing that, don't get hung up on valuation. Because ultimately, especially when it's an early stage company, it's a matter of life and death. If you don't find the money, you're not going to have the, convert your passion into a company. So it's not worth getting very hung up on, I want this valuation, my neighbor's brother-in-law, sister-in-law's husband got so-and-so valuation, why are you valuing me so low? We found that pretty often. And another thing is, don't take the process very personally. I find people take the process very personally. So if you say no to a company, you're saying no to that idea. You're saying no to that company. You're saying, I, as an investor, am not sure this is VC fundable. That's all is a statement we are making when we say we can't invest. We're not saying it's a bad business idea for an entrepreneur. It may be a great business idea. Like I think Ramesh talked about lifestyle business. We're not saying that don't do the company, but I, as a VC investor, don't think it's a VC fundable company or that it can become large. So don't, and it's nothing about you, the person. So don't take it very personally. Fundraising has lots of highs and lows in life. It's a journey that there are days you love it because the guy investor asked a question. There are days you hate it because you emailed or pinged them and they've not responded. But don't take it personally.
Yeah.
Can I just
Manjari,
add to...
Yeah, sorry, yeah, please.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Manjari.
Yeah. No, you try.
So I just wanted to add, Bharti touched upon it, but I just wanted to clarify. She made this point that, you've gone to a VC, you've presented your thing, and he doesn't agree with you. She said, listen to him. And I think the best way to convince the VC is get the voice of the customer into that meeting. If you do that, I think most VCs will listen to you. Unfortunately, what happens very often is we hear entrepreneurs say, no, I think the customer knows this. Have you spoken to any customer? Typically, the answer is no. So I think I just wanted to make that one point.
Manjari, switching tracks slightly, when you went out to raise money, you said you spoke to 4 venture capitalists. One question. Did you get a non-disclosure agreement signed, number 1? Number 2, was this ever in your mind that